Hello, Scrumblers. I'm Lauren Shippen, professional writer who is going into her 15th year on Tumblr.
15 years.
Yeah,
wow. Happy Tumble Day.
Thank you. Thank you. That means so much.
Thank you. You're so welcome. Well, I think there's a better.
I like Tumble Day, actually.
Tumble Day, yeah.
Cute.
Happy Tumble Day. And I'm Cher McAnelly, head of entertainment at Tumblr, who's been scrumbling since 2012.
Quite a long time.
Yeah,
12 years. I mean,
12 years.
Not bad.
12 years.
That's not bad.
Half of the century, in fact.
True. That's yeah. Oh wow. What a way to think about that.
Since the early aughts.
Since the early aughts. And this is Dashboard Diaries, a podcast for you, the folks who are in this internet bunker with us. We talk about what's going on our favorite hell site, get into what we like to call Tumblr lore, do fandom deep dives, and share the times when we've gone feral over a new ship. And before we dive in, we have a small announcement about the future of the show. We are going monthly. So instead of every other week, it's going to be one episode a month. And Cher, today we are reviewing our entire year in Tumblr. And as we were discussing before we hopped into recording, we want 2024 to be the year of scrumbling, where scrolling Tumblr becomes a word finally.
Let's get ready to scrumble.
But before we do that, we have to revisit 2023 and also our own embarrassing archives. Sometimes embarrassing, sometimes just fun. So let's start off with our Dashboard Confessionals, where we dive into our archives and pick a post from around this month, day from a previous year. Share what you have, what year, what are we looking at?
We are looking at an extremely 2012 post, Lauren.
Incredible.
This is actually the first post that I ever posted on Tumblr, January 17th, 2012. And to paint the picture for our listeners, it is a heavily filtered image of the ocean, like, you know, the coast in California and San Francisco. And I've captioned it, the West Coast. And the Instagram filter is... I wish I remember the name of this Instagram filter.
It is a very 2012 Instagram filter.
Right? Like, I'm going to have to, I actually want to look up, Instagram filters 2012 so that I can,
Are those seals on the rock there?
Oh, indeed they are.
Oh, cute. Honestly, little seals.
I didn't even notice that because I filtered it so heavily.
It's very heavily filtered. And we'll, of course, reblog this to dashboarddiaries.tumblr.com. Apparently, we already have, according to the notes.
Wait. Oh my gosh. How did I not even look? You know what? I was wondering why the first post I ever posted on Tumblr had
15 notes. Yeah, from 12 years ago.
I was like, wow, go me. People love this heavily filtered. Okay. You know what? That is so funny. I almost am like, I kind of want to get another post. I feel like this is the exact post that I just did the first post of last year.
No, I love it.
It's on brand for me. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I love that. We are here to be our authentic selves and nothing else.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. Thanks for making this a safe space.
Of course, always.
In which to scrumble.
Always.
Lauren, what do you have for us in your Dashboard Confessionals this week?
So I have a post that I reblogged in January of 2015, January 29th to be precise. And it's a post that I completely forgot about that I absolutely adore. You need to listen to this video with the sound on, but it's just it's a video that with the caption of "This one is even spookier. Look what I fucking found in my house," and it is the X-Files theme song over a video of a hand reaching toward a pillow and then pulling the pillow back to reveal a very scared looking pug. And for whatever reason, it really got me when I first saw it. And I'm pretty sure I reblogged this video 10 times in the course of a year. And it had completely left my memory. So this was a delightful thing to discover in my own archives.
This is incredible. I love it. It's beautiful. No notes. Absolutely perfect piece of cinema.
I agree.
When you said, a few seconds after you said that you need to listen to the sound, I was like, oh, okay. And I hit play, and if you watch the recording, I jumped a foot in the air. It really hit me.
It's good. It's just a good, effective video.
Good. Oh my God. I love it. The pug is a paid actor.
Exactly. He's really selling it, Let's get into our main topic, which is looking back at 2023 as a whole. Cher, were there any really big takeaways for you? We'll dive into the fandom metrics and sort of what was like charting throughout the year. But as a Tumblr user and Tumblr employee, were there any huge takeaways for you from 2023?
Yes, there were a couple major takeaways from like the 2023 and like the fandom list overall. My favorite one, or I had two that I wrote down. One is that Goncharov was the number 3 movie of the year.
Incredible. A movie that does not exist.
Only on Tumblr. I love Tumblr so much. I love it. No notes.
And Goncharov was a
all the notes.
2022 thing, wasn't it? Like, wasn't Goncharov created in 2022? So the fact that it's still
it was, like,
charted.
Late 2022. Yes. But like, yeah, it's still, I think it was late 2022.
I think you're right.
Honestly,
it was like November 22.
I feel like it was, like around that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, Goncharov persists, Goncharov remains,
Can't bring down Goncharov.
I think that's like the great thing about Tumblr too. I mean, we say this all the time is that, once the Tumblr community like is a fan of something or is into something or, it gets going, it's like, what is it like? Is it like Newton's law? What's the law where it's like, a ball in motion,
an object in motion.
An object in motion will not stop unless it is stopped. It will. They cannot be stopped.
Yes, that's a perfect metaphor. Yeah.
And so, I love that Goncharov was the number 3 movie of the year. Absolutely fantastic. And also just Good Omens kind of coming back.
Yeah.
And, coming back with it, regaining or reclaiming its spot at number 1 for ships and, Ineffable Husbands, of course. It was also the top in topics of the year when it came out in 2018. It was the number 2 topic of this year.
Oh, wow.
Under artists on Tumblr as a community.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's,
yeah,
but the number 1 like specific thing.
Look, Tumblr is 2 things: artists on Tumblr and Good Omens. And also Goncharov.
That's a pretty good summation, I feel like.
So 3 things. And also Crowley was the number 18 most talked about topic of the year.
That's
and
wild.
Aziraphale was the number 23 most talked about topic. And so I'd love to see some like Fanic. Ooh, Fanic. Is that a new word? Like
Fanic?
Does that exist? Fanic?
That feels like something. That feels like. Are we fanicking?
Are we fanicking? Let's put a
let's put a pin in that.
No, pin in that. There it is. I was panicking and I forgot the word. Okay.
It's my new favorite thing.
Love to see. Well, I would love to see some fanfic or fan art of like Crowley and Aziraphale talking about the fact that like Crowley was the number 18 and Aziraphale was number 23.
Yes.
I feel like that would be very funny. Also, the Fanic reminds me of the time I was in a partner meeting and I wanted to say the word content and fandom, and instead I said condom.
Oh my, how on earth did you recover from that? What did you do?
Yeah, I just continued on, just kept going as if it hadn't happened. And my boss did slack me and said, yes, we did hear that. So,
just another day at Tumblr. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Absolute Fanic throughout. Anyway, those were my big takeaways from the year, Lauren. What were yours?
I love that. I was like blown away by Good Omens being all over the sort of the top active charts. And then I thought about it and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, like I saw a lot of Good Omens this year, but it is kind of remarkable that a show that has only 12 episodes and obviously like, a book that predates that and all of that kind of stuff. It's just kind of remarkable that it manages to really grab a hold of the Tumblr community. I think the 2 things that really stand out for me about this year are Barbenheimer, obviously, like all of the Barbie Oppenheimer memes, the tickets to Barbie, like just so many Barbie memes, their mugshot memes, everybody doing fan art in their fandom of that meme. That was really like all over my dash this year, really consistently too. Like there wasn't really like a rise and fall. Like it was just sort of every month, like, there was some Barbenheimer or Barbie meme content.
Absolutely. This was the year of Barbieheimer, I think, in like a big way.
Absolutely.
Like on the internet as a whole.
Yes, definitely. And I think like, Barbie is the number 1 movie on Tumblr for 2023 and Oppenheimer's number 13. And I think that like is a pretty good display of the differences between them. Like Barbenheimer was big and Barbie was big, but Oppenheimer was sort of like less of a huge thing on its own on Tumblr, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. I think maybe a lot of that came down to, I think just like the shareability, like the conversation ability, like the lighthearted fun aspect of either talking about, Barbie, which, it's, you're talking about memes, or you're sharing like fun, like gift sets, or, photos, or whatever it is, or videos or clips, or you're like talking about, the impact or meaning of Barbie, and kind of like on childhood, like there's that nostalgia aspect, Barbenheimer.
Yes, Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. Is that an example of Fanic?
That's disgusting.
Anyway, was also like a fun meme, but then Oppenheimer is just really serious and sad subject matter, but also just a very well made film that, Tumblr as a platform that really, the community likes talking about film as a whole and as an art form, like would still be very active and engaged with. And then also Cillian Murphy.
Yes. Wait,
so,
is it
and just the
Cillian?
entire cast. I think it, yeah.
Oh my God, I've been pronouncing it wrong my entire life. I've always been pronouncing it Cillian. Wow.
I'm pretty sure it's Cillian.
No, I trust you completely.
I
I just had no idea.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Unless I'm wrong, in case the more incorrect news that I spread. I found out today that I have been spreading a lie that Massachusetts is the 13th biggest state by square mileage. It is the 44th.
Why did you think it was the 13th biggest state?
So this is it's not a long time. I can get this down to a couple sentences. Like the band that does What Does the Fox Say?
Yes.
They also have a song called Massachusetts. And within it, I'm pretty positive they say Massachusetts, the 13th biggest state. And honestly, I trusted that and was like, yes, I believe that. And so now whenever someone would say Massachusetts, I'd be like, oh, the 13th biggest state.
Oh my God.
And now... and I watched this video, I want to say in like 2015.
Yeah.
So it's been quite a long time of me spreading this mystery.
I love that. This is my favorite thing.
Anyway, what were
so the other big takeaway for me from 2023 was the writers and SAG strike, right? Like,
yes.
I think that those, not only were those like two topics that were talked about and debated and discussed, and there are lots of people informing the public on those strikes just on Tumblr itself. But I think that when I think about the things that didn't necessarily blow up on Tumblr in the way that I expected them to, I think that that's so due to the SAG strike, right? Like, we had the second season of Our Fog Means Death this year, which I definitely saw stuff of, and I'm sure that if you are really active in the fandom, it was all over the place. But like, compared to the first season, it was not nearly as ubiquitous. And I do think that that's because the cast and crew could not, or the cast and creators and whatnot could not promote it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's true for so much of the stuff that came out this year, I think. So yeah, so I think that the way that affected sort of Tumblr's activity changed a lot. And I think as a result too, it's like I saw like fewer celebrity interviews. It's like normally you would see like gift sets or like clips from like Tumblr interviews and BuzzFeed interviews and the Vanity Fair lie detector test and like all of these kind of like classic interviews that celebrities do when they're promoting a movie or a TV show or what have you. And like those things just like didn't exist this year. And so I think that kind of changed the ecosystem in an interesting way. And I don't know how that really affected like the numbers of popular things, but I imagine a little bit.
Yeah, I would say that's actually really interesting. I would love to see if there's a way to like quantify that. I guess it's hard with the differences and titles and things, but I think it definitely did impact conversation about TV and film just because of the level of promotion, I would say, just across the board. And also, yeah, just like the discoverability and knowledge. I think a lot of people are like discovering and talking about things like a little later than, premieres and things like that. Like, there's a bit of a delay with all of that. I think, I'm interested to see how the impact of the strike has on like this year and going forward, because, there was a full shutdown for such an extended period of time. And, everyone, I think, immediately, got back to work, but it's also just months and months and months of so much work. Yeah. I wonder if we'll kind of see
some like dead spots.
Some dead spots.
Yeah. I wonder that too. Like, I'm just looking at the list of like TV shows that sort of I don't know what the proper way to, I'm just saying charted, but like I don't know what the proper way to like talk about, the top, the top TV shows on Tumblr this year or
top,
in 2023.
like top of the list.
Ranked, that top
ranked,
of the list.
Yeah.
So in terms of these fandom metrics lists, were there anything was there anything on them that surprised you or like confused you or shocked you? Or delighted you?
I would say on Tumblr, like what I'm rarely shocked by what makes a list.
That's fair.
Generally, the more chaotic something is, or the more kind of out of left field something is, the more likely I'm like, oh yeah, that's on brand for Tumblr.
Yeah.
I think was there anything for you? Maybe I'll percolate on that. I feel like my brain just erased the entire year when you asked me that question.
I totally get that.
I was like, who and what happened last year? Like I'm looking at the list like right now. I have them open. I have my notes, and I'm like, what did surprise me? I think I was like, I fully expected Good Omens to kind of have the impact it did. I did not expect characters from any TV show or like anything to be in the top topics
list.
So I would say that was something that just kind of like surprised and delighted me. Like I think that is just so great and shows like the power of like Tumblr when they get all in on something, because when users get, and I think like the Gontrovit number, I'm trying to think of like, okay, you're circle back to me. Come back to me.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm fanicking right now.
I really love this new word.
Yeah, I think it really is like applicable.
Yeah, we
know
fanic a lot.
Overusing it, but we fanic a lot. We fanic and we fixate.
Exactly.
What can we do? What can we say?
I love that. Yeah, I mean, there were a couple things that jumped out at me.
Okay,
I think that the first is that, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like Good Omens kind of dominating made perfect sense to me. Destiel being number 3 ship makes perfect sense to me, even though that show's not been on for 3 years or whatever. The one that kind of surprised me is, Good Omens was Ineffable Husbands. The ship from Good Omens was first, and then Destiel was 3. Steady, which is Steve Harrington and Eddie Munson from Stranger Things, was number 2. And here's why that it's not that it necessarily surprises me. It just, I think, is an indication of something that like has been brewing for a while that I think that now we can like kind of say for certain, which is that like, I do think that Steady has entered now the like annals of like Tumblr ships that are never, ever, 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 ever going to go away. Right? Which is like kind of remarkable when you think about the other ships that Tumblr has that don't go away. You have Destiel, that show ran for 15 seasons. You have Merlin, that show ran for 5 seasons. You have, Hanagram, 3 seasons. And also, like, I think that there's an argument to be made for Hanagram also being like a canon ship, which I think changes. Well, and there's an argument to be made for Destiel being a canon unrequited ship too. So it's like there's so much, stuff to sort of go into those ships kind of standing the test of time. Especially like, something like both Hannibal and Merlin are universes that pre-existed when the shows were made. Supernatural has become a universe unto itself. Whereas Stranger Things, obviously, one of the biggest TV shows of the last 20 years. Eddie's a character in 1 season that aired 2 years ago. And he and Steve interact like maybe 4 times. And that's what I love about Tumblr, right? Is like, I'm sure if you added up the screen time that like, maybe not the screen time that they share, but I'm sure if you added up the like number of lines that Steve and Eddie say to each other, it would be equivalent to like an episode of Dean and Cass in Supernatural, right? Mm-hmm. But people have taken that and have taken these two sort of like polar opposite characters and like created an entirely new universe sort of inside of the show for that ship, so much so that 2 years after the season aired, it's still the number 2 ship. And I like, that's so Tumblr to me, and I really, really love it.
I absolutely, Tumblr continues to be so Tumblr, and I love that. And I also, why do you think, and I kind of like, I have like, I don't know, a theory or a guess, but like, why do you think that like these two characters specifically out of all the ships on the show, like really, because I know there are multiple Stranger Things ships in the list, but like I feel like Steady like it holds steady.
Exactly. And I think it will continue to do so. Like I think in 10 years, like how we're seeing Merlin still on the chart, like we're going to see Steady somewhere in the top 50, right?
I agree.
So yeah, I do have a couple theories and I'm curious to hear yours and if they overlap at all. I think that there is and this is not, a unique observation or I think even criticism. I think that this is something that a lot of people have called out through the years about fandom. It's two handsome white boys. Sometimes that's enough. I think that that's a piece of it. I think that there's I think that there's a lot of love for, they're both named Joe, right? Both of the actors are named Joe. Like I think there's a lot of love for them as like individuals and like a lot of people, really enjoy them. I mean, they're both great actors. I think that's part of it, right? Like that's a percentage. It's not all of it. I think the other piece of it is that Eddie is a character that really, really resonated with people because he's like this outcast. He's into D&D. He's into metal music. He's kind of a nerd, but he's like got an edge to him and he's really charming. And I think a lot of people like saw themselves in Eddie. And also I think that there's like a classic, like, sort of Eddie's this interesting mix of like bad boy and nerd. And Steve's this interesting mix of like player, jock, and wife guy. Like he sort of starts as like a player and then sort of becomes a wife guy. And like amidst all of that, he's kind of like, he's got sort of like the dumb jock stereotype. Like, and listen, like I cannot cast stones about this. In the Bright Sessions, one of the central ships, Caleb and Adam. Caleb is like the stereotypical jock. Adam is like the pop punk emo kid. Like there's just something in that we love, right?
And look, there's a reason why that type of ship persists.
It does. It just persists.
We love to see it.
I think Heartstopper even has a degree of that, right? Like,
oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So those are my theories. What are yours?
Yes.
Okay. I got them all.
Yep. Exactly that. Honestly, I have nothing else to add.
Incredible. Same mind.
Works out. The podcast eventually is just going to be like 45 minutes of silence of us being like,
because we're just telepathically communicating. Oh, the other thing that surprised me or like that delighted me just in terms of like things that have stood the test of time is that the movie Saw, which came out 20 years ago, was number 23 on Tumblr.
Fantastic.
And I just like, great. And I follow people who saw post or whatever. And it's like people, that's another thing in which like the people who ship it, like it's like there are a couple of these like horror movies that people have these very powerful feelings about. I've never seen either of those movies because I'm too much of a scaredy cat, definitely to watch Saw. I think maybe I could handle it, but I don't think I could handle Saw. But people love it.
So a new Saw movie came out, I believe, this year.
Saw 10. Yeah.
But, and I'm wondering if the Saw on the list is Saw 1 or Saw as a franchise or as like
That's true. Yeah. Saw 10 is 66 on the list after Shrek 2.
66? Oh my gosh. How did I miss that?
But I think you're right.
After Shrek 2. But no, I think yeah.
But it definitely could be like the franchise as a whole for sure.
No, I think yes, but also the fact that Saw 10 is 66 on the list, which is the movie that came out like recently.
Yes, like
whereas
this year.
Like Saw overall like is what like I do think there is very, very much something to be said about that. I also think the first movie like as like I saw a lot of memes specifically from the first movie.
Yes.
I think this year and just in the past, and also I just love like Tumblr and the horror tie-in. Yeah. I've seen most of the Saw movies.
Have you really?
As a kid, Oh man. Yeah, I don't like gore.
So why have you seen these movies?
So I'm working on my people pleasing, Lauren. It's one of my
fair enough.
Intentions of 2024.
Love that.
But as a kid, like one of my best friends from elementary school loved the Saw movies, and so we would like watch them at sleepovers, and it would be like we'd watch like marathons of the Saw movies. Like we went when Saw 3D came out.
Oh my god, that's right.
I'm not sure if you recall. We like her mom took us and then like left like and picked us up after because it was like rated R, so she had to like walk in the theater with us. So rebellious. And I just closed my eyes during like the bad parts, like
most of the movie,
violent parts, which is like, yeah, I would say like 75% of the movie. And I saw Saw 10 with my friends during like a cabin week. Again, they were like, let's do a horror movie night. Let's watch Saw. And I was like, yeah, let's do that in our cabin in the
Might
woods.
as well be a completionist for the franchise.
And so I, did the same exact thing. But thankfully, Saw 10 has like a 45-minute like lead in that it reads like kind of like a drama, like an intense
Excellent.
drama.
Excellent.
I was so there was that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. Yeah. I mean, looking in the Saw tag, I am seeing a lot of Saw 10 posts, so I think you're right that it is for the franchise as a whole. So Cher, you've seen all the movies. You could be out there Saw posting if you want.
Now that I have seen Saw, I tried.
There's something there.
There's something there. I would Saw post, but then I would have to see the Saw. There it is.
There we go.
We got there.
Yeah, and you've seen you've saw it enough.
Related, unrelated, related, vaguely related. I'm gonna derail things for a quick
Please.
joke that I made up. Please. I'm really proud of. Okay, how are carrots and celery related?
I don't know. How?
They're in slaws.
It took me a moment, and then I got there.
Maybe I'll try. Like maybe the pause. I don't have the pause quite right. They're in slaws.
Yeah. There it is. There it is.
Yeah.
That's very good. Thank you for that.
Proud of that one. Anyway, tee.
All right. I thought it would be fun to go back to what your very first post that you posted or reblogged in 2023 was. So let's take a moment to dive back into our archives. I'm going to see which is better, my private or my public Tumblr, which has the better post.
Also, while you're going back, I'd like to ask you, Lauren, what would go on your personal year in review list? I think we asked this question in our last episode, but now that you've seen the year in review list, and also just like in life in general, outside of like entertainment and like what made the fandom list, like what in Lauren's year in review, what
made the grade?
Would be featured?
Yeah.
What made the grade?
I have this written down in my notebook, which is downstairs. But let me see if I can remember. Oh gosh. Do you have one? What's on Cher's year in review?
I bulleted out a few things. One, I did do a couple like actual just like shows and things. I was like The Last of Us and Succession.
Yes.
I said the interview with Ben Schwartz for Renfield, where we talked about the concussions and the concussion gate.
Yep.
And because it led to me finding out that I have had 6 concussions, not 3.
Oh my God.
My mom informed me of this, so it's just really, it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then I also, I went to Jamaica and Thailand during the year, which was great.
Amazing.
And I turned 30, which I think was, a big part of 2023 for me, entering my 30s. So far, so good.
Hell yes.
I would say. And I think there's definitely more, but those are some key standouts. What about you?
I definitely think when it comes, I'm like looking back on my sort of private fandom Tumblr now, and how could I forget? I read the Thrawn trilogy for the first time last year, and I went down a whole Eli Vanto spiral. Like I went so deep in on Thrawn and Eli, and and there's some great fic out there, truly, and some amazing fan art. And The Last of Us, definitely. Barry, the final season of Barry was amazing, and
still haven't
started on my birthday, which was really fun. And then from a personal standpoint, I launched a new podcast in 2023 that I've been doing daily for 6 months, which is crazy.
That is so impressive, Lauren. I truly do not know how you do it.
We're halfway there. I want to do it for at least a year, and then we'll see. And the thing that like really consumed my brain was that I spent the first 6 months like starting a new draft of the book I've been trying to write for 5 years. I started writing as a podcast first in early 2019, and then changed it to a book in like 2020, 2021. And I finally finished it this year and like got it out to my agent, and I'm very, very happy with it. It feels good to have like finally kind of completed that. It's a queer outlaw story. It's a Western. It's like a romance. I really hope that someone wants to buy it.
Oh my gosh, congratulations, Lauren. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you. All right. What was your first post in 2023?
My first post in 2023, it's so funny that this was my first post, and I will tell you why in a second, was this, well, actually, okay. My first post was a reblog from an interview we did for the film Missing with Storm Reed.
Yeah.
Great.
Nice.
Great film. Great interview. However, the post I dropped in, I also want to touch on. It is from user homosexual having tea, and it's a text post that reads, "Love that one scene in Return of the King that's like, bad news. Sauron knows everything Pippin knows. Good news. Pippin knows absolutely fuck all."
It's so good. I love Lord of the Rings posting. It's always so good.
I love it so much. And it's also very funny because I watched Return of the King extended edition this weekend.
Oh, perfect.
So
that's how you start your year, you know?
It's a great way to start the year.
Yeah. I love that.
What was your first post of the
So
year?
I also have two from my private fandom Tumblr. I reblogged this post about the Gavlabakan goat not burning in 2022. I don't think we have time for me to explain the whole goat burning thing. Do you know about this?
I have a vague memory of you explaining this to me, I think around this time, perhaps last year, but I do not recall, so I would love a refresher.
There's this ghost in, like, God, I want to say Sweden. I hope I'm right about that. That they make every Christmas out of hay. He's just a Gavla goat. He's just a big goat. And for the past many years, he has been burned down, and he did not get burned down in 2022. And I don't know the fate of the Gavla goat in 2023, so I'm going to have to look that up.
Oh my gosh.
And then the other post that I want to share is from January 3rd, I think, January 2nd, and is a post that I made that reads, "Nothing I love more than waking up to a bunch of new kudos and realizing that everyone spent the first day of their year reading fanfic like I did."
Perfect way to start the year, Lauren.
And just like very, very nice. And, you know, I still love getting those kudos emails and those comments emails. And I definitely began my year reading fanfic. So, you know, some things change, some things stay the same.
What fanfic did you begin your year writing, Lauren?
Oh, I haven't written any this year. Oh. Yeah, last year.
Reading fanfic.
Yes,
okay.
But
let me.
This post is in reference to fanfic that I wrote.
Written.
Yes.
Well, okay. What fanfic?
I cannot tell you because the fandom's too small that people will be able to find me. I can tell you once we stop recording.
Okay. Ooh, I love knowing a little secret.
Well, I hope you all have started your year doing whatever fandom activity you love doing. I'm Lauren Shippen, and you can find me at thelaurenShippen.tumblr.com.
I'm Cher McAnelly, and you can find me at overshares.tumblr.com. This has been Dashboard Diaries, and
may your anons always be loving,
your dash always refresh,
your gifts always be loading,
and your ships always canon.
May the fixer reading always be finished,
and the answers you seek always in the reblogs.
Thanks for scrolling with us.